This is the central train station and transit hub of Zeeburg. It's a very busy place. In fact, it's often too busy. Trains are constantly queuing up and causing delays. Trams are forced to funnel through an undersized station with just 2 tracks. And the bus station, it holds the world record for the most cramped design in existence. Yeah, it's time to rip it up and start over. But before we can do that, we've got awful traffic to fix. Because of course we do. If you're excited to watch the world's best transit planner fix all this, well, this video might disappoint you. But I'd appreciate a like and subscribe either way. Let's dive in. Alright, so with the ever more busy central station in the background here, I'm gonna do my best at attempting to explain all the transit hub issues that we'll be attempting to fix. If not in this episode, then in the upcoming ones. So one major issue is this old tram hub sitting right in front of the central station. It only offers 2 stops, but we're trying to funnel quite a few trams through here, and that number is only going to increase as we increase services to some of the tram lines that are going to move up the western coast here in Zeeburg. So that's a bit of a bottleneck, and I think the overall design could also use a bit of a reshuffle to just make it a little nicer. I mean, it is just a couple of surfaces and a few trees after all. Very much related to this afterthought is this afterthought. This has to be the most tightly packed bus hub in Cities Skylines history. Right next to the train station and this elevation change, the buses can barely make the actual curves here without crashing into things. So ideally, I want to get rid of this guy and get something going here alongside the tram hub, so it feels a little more integrated and just a little more nice. Another issue with the tram station here is how we've kind of shoehorned the Zetion line to make a stop here. This is a tram on the actual line, and this is by far the most busy tram line in the entire city. And as you can probably tell, it makes this really slightly weird loop here, then moves back through the station before turning left and moving north into Neuville. So this is costing us a lot of time, having to kind of reroute it across the station. It would be much easier to just go close by the station and then maybe have a stop down here for easy connectivity, which would also allow us to get rid of this really fun but slightly weird tram underpass thingy here that is also just way too steep. We're also looking to do some actual changes to the central station, or rather the slightly outdated train tracks leading in and out of it. I've got some cool ideas for a bit of detailing that I think is going to turn out really great. And then for a bigger change, the bus hub here, the bus depot, sorry, it kind of has to go. It's a big sprawling low density building in an otherwise really dense desirable business location. And I think this one is a fairly easy one. I don't see anyone complaining about this change. We're gonna move it way out here in Hamilton, which is this polluted area, polluted from Ferdinand, so it can only be utilized for non-residential. I think this fits in much better. And since we are making big changes, we've now got some prime real estate here, and I think we're gonna place an arena here. No, it's not gonna be a football stadium. I'm sorry to disappoint, but it is going to be another sports arena. Just gonna get it quickly placed without any detailing. We'll get back to this later, but I already think that was a very, very positive change for this area of the city. Now, moving back to the really complex task at hand, I was considering just pausing the game, deleting the station, deleting this track, and then just kinda taking my time figuring things out. But I thought it would be a little more fun to let the game run for as long as we possibly can until we absolutely have to pause it. And then we'll just try to figure out an alternative route for the Zetion line before we pause and change anything. Maybe we don't even have to pause. So let's just get the Better Transit View mod going. Yeah, this really highlights the awkwardness of this route and the time wasted of having to do the loop in here. So basically what we need to enable instead is for the trams to be able to connect from this street here in Karlsbridge directly to this street in Neuville. So the task description is relatively simple. We just need to allow trams to move underneath the tram bridge here But the execution is probably gonna be pretty complex, because as rush hour is starting to build up, this messy junction, or this cluster of junctions, usually get pretty busy, and there's quite a few lanes here. I am hopeful though that recent emphasis on rapid transit has reduced the actual traffic situation here in Zeeburg, so we can probably remove a few lanes. Yes, I know, a radical thought for my American viewers, but I think we're gonna remove lanes, or at the very least replace them with the tram lanes, and those don't really count, do they? We could start with something fairly easy though, and that is setting up a new stop right here, so that you've got somewhat easy connectivity to the central station and the new tram hub that's gonna sit here. It's not gonna be as direct as the current setup, but once again, the current setup is also just super convoluted if you don't actually need to stop right here, so it should be an overall improvement. We're gonna start by grabbing this road builder road here with the 5-meter median, because it's gonna allow for a stop in both directions. And I think we're gonna need to kind of free-form this one. Fortunately, we do have what is essentially just recreational space to cut into. So we have a bit of flexibility here in getting this station in place. So we just need one segment with the 5-meter median to allow for the for dual stops, and then we'll just grab this segment here with a less wide median for this other segment. Oh, just look at all the activity at the station. Sorry, back to the trams. All right, so this stop, man, English today, is going to replace the Zetion free stop up here, and then we need the actual crossing. This is where things get a little tricky, and I think if we were to reduce the amount of lanes, the overall lane count, I should probably start here, I guess. So I think I might even have a better segment for this. Yes, I do have a slightly less wide version here that is a 2+1 configuration instead of all the full 4-lane configuration, and this is a little better. I mean, it's not much, but it is certainly better. And then what we could do is we could mix this in right about here, if I can get the alignment. I mean, that seems to work without actually breaking anything. And then I wonder if I have a version of this 2+1 configuration that only has a 2-meter wide median. Doesn't seem to be the case, and I don't want to go all the way down to just one lane in both directions. So we'll just have to create it, but that should be a fairly simple task with Road Builder. Let's see. So I'm gonna say use as template to create a new version, and this is just gonna be called the 2-meter median tram, 29 meters. Yeah, whatever. It's not gonna be 29 meters anymore, that's for sure. And that's pretty nice, I think. That is pretty nice. It is. It's starting to be much slimmer than our other configurations, a full lane at least. Which I think does make a difference. Now I'll just see if I can select it. No, or I can just deselect these filters and grab it. Yes, that is probably the approach. It's gonna be an overpass segment, obviously. I'm gonna flip it and just try to align it as much as possible with the current tracks. Yoink. I guess we'll have to kind of monitor the situation and see if this is actually enough lanes. We can always upgrade, but I mean, when this new configuration of the Zetion free line is actually up and running, it is going to cut the travel time between Neuville and some of the other inner city districts by quite a bit, at least a few minutes that would otherwise be spent making this really weird little loop here. So maybe that is also going to incentivize people to get out of their SUVs and into trams. And maybe I'm just being super naive. But anyways, I think this is about as far as we go in terms of the slightly basic stuff. Things are gonna get a little more complex now in terms of the planning. The easy solution here would be to just grab the single tram track and upgrade the roads. So just adding it to either of these one-directional roads that run on each side of the bridge, and it would be a job done. But I think we can do something a little more fun, which might also be a little more effective. I'm not quite sure on that part, but we'll try something else, is what I'm trying to say here. What I'd like is a dedicated tram segment right here for trams in both directions, so that the transition from this segment to this segment is pretty seamless. I mean, that is a very, very easy turn to make, while this one would be a little more complex. Then we're gonna turn this into a dual directional, just a regular road basically. Because we need a we need a traffic light here either way. This junction is already complex enough to warrant a traffic light due to some of the changing traffic here crossing the tram lanes. So that's gonna be a thing either way. Yeah, let's just try this out. I think that is probably the best way to approach it. So the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna upgrade this. I don't have to pause for this, by the way. I shouldn't pause when it's not necessary. Which is going to allow for traffic in both directions. But, ooh, that's not great, is it? That is just a single lane in both directions. Yeah, we'll see how that goes. But I mean, I just don't see any alternative. If we want the trams to be completely separated from the road traffic, and I think if we're being serious in this really dense location, we do, then the trams need to work on their own tracks. They shouldn't share it with traffic. So I think this is the right call. Yeah. This is all getting very interesting, isn't it? Anyways, let's just get these the double tram track added in, and we'll see how that looks. So I'm just gonna quickly add it because it's gonna need a little move it love, I think, to actually work out. Let's see how this transition into this junction actually looks. Please just work. Oh, we're gonna make this an overpass segment, obviously. Okay, so it might not be terrible, but that's also a pretty low bar to set. Ideally, we want it to be good or decent. So don't let my lack of creativity stop you from doing something like, you know, grabbing Road Builder and then just changing this dual tram segment to also have a little car-enabled segment. And that is a super simple configuration, but I think it's gonna work. It is going to add that one extra lane here, so we don't have to force this weird solution in. Just dropping the speed limit to 50, and we're calling this a one road lane double yeah, that's gonna work. Just quickly getting the other segments upgraded, including the 2 overpass segments. Just gonna have another look just to see that we're not clipping into a ton of stuff, and the cars immediately start to utilize this path, which makes a ton of sense. And we can revert this to single directional segment moving into Neuville. We are starting to see quite a few bikes utilize this shared segment now with the cars, because the otherwise uninterrupted stretch of dedicated bike infrastructure that moves out here to the entrance point of Neuville and all the way down to the elevated station is not so uninterrupted anymore. Yeah, we see these folks in actions. Let's just see if we can upgrade this road a little further. I know I have to squeeze in an actual sidewalk to get the possibility of adding a dedicated bike lane. So we'll see if that's possible without it just getting too bulky. I think that just about works. I had to delete one of the shoulders because the catenary system is automatically applied when you add in a sidewalk, it seems. So I didn't need it, which is nice. And we should now be able to upgrade this segment right here and bring that all the way through. And we still have, I mean, it's a bit of a tight one, but to be honest, we've still got a bit of maneuverable space here. We can bring this in just a little more without big trouble. Now that is pretty nice. We've still got some work to do on fixing up this junction so it doesn't look as ugly, and perhaps tweaking this segment a little bit, because currently there's an issue where as long as the tram stopped at the station, it won't be able to make this crossing when it's past the bridge. But before we tweak that, I want to change the actual bridge first, because this bridge isn't actually seeing all that much traffic. We're funneling a ton of traffic during rush hour through this super weird thing we built a couple of episodes ago. But it's working out really nicely, and it's got a bit of a highway stretch with some higher speed limits, which people are taking advantage of. So I think the main issue here is that the tram tracks aren't dedicated. I mean, they are shared with the traffic, and we should be able to fix that. Just looking through my tram road builder roads, everything I've created, and I think the 2-lane road tram separated, what a title. We're just gonna upgrade, let's see. We wanna do this from the center on out. And I chose to align it to the northern side of the road here, because then the transition into this future tram hub area is it's a little more smooth, it seems. I'm also seeing plenty of bike traffic, so while I'm still dedicated to not just plastering every upgradable street with dedicated bike lanes, because it just feels, I don't know, a little unrealistic and too easy. I think for a major connector like this one, it's fine. Let's just go ahead and do that. We might have gained a more efficient tram crossing, but we also just kinda lost a focal point. The actual bridge span, which was looking pretty nice. It was a little bulky, but nice nonetheless. So I think we're just gonna spend the extra time trying to find a new span for it. So I think this is the truss arch bridge we used. Wasn't bad, but once again, maybe slightly too bulky. But the only option, if I was to actually use the bridge functionally, which I guess technically we don't have to, I could just place something like this. And then with a bit of move it magic, I mean, we do have a median now on this span separating the car traffic from the tram traffic. So let's give this a quick go. If I just make sure to align the main span with the median, and we start lowering this fella down like this. It even has a massive pillar in the center sitting in the river now, which isn't really a river, but you get the idea. Just making sure I lower this completely and that I make it symmetrical on either side. How does that look? Ooh, I mean, that is pretty nice. I would say that the pillar structure here is it's almost too bulky, but I think overall this was worth it. A nice change. Alright, so I've got another big change planned for this general area, one which I think you might just universally all like. I know that is saying quite a bit, especially when it's me, because not all my changes are universally liked by you guys. But before we get that far, we're actually ready to reroute the Zetion 3 line and see how it all pans out. So once again, I'm gonna attempt to do this without pausing. We'll need the 2 stops placed here, as well as an easy pedestrian crossing. So jumping into the tram menu, we're gonna grab the fancy thing I can't find. It would be the architectural tram stop. We'll get that placed on either side. So let's just get a segment right here and on the other side. And then before we hook up this new segment, let's grab the crosswalk feature, and I think we're gonna add that to either side, but we probably don't need an actual traffic signal for it. It's gonna be a yield situation, basically. We should expect the drivers to respect this, right? Once again, I'm probably being a little naive. Now, this track here, ideally, it should be removed, but I'm a little hesitant to do it right now because I haven't really figured out the loop lines we're gonna create in the future. You see, currently we have this pretty radial system of public transit in general, but also the tram lines. And ideally, we need at least one looping line, but potentially more, so that you can reach any part of the city through the tram network. The Better Transit View mod is just wonderful for explaining this, but as you can probably tell, it's mostly a radial network. There are some nice hubs for connectivity throughout the inner city. But if you're trying to go from, let's see, you're trying to go from Hamilton to Livonia. Okay, it's a bad example. You might just walk or bike, but let's say you have to use public transit. Maybe you are wheelchair bound. Well, you'd move onto the tram in Hamilton, and then you'd have to make a transfer in the heart of Alexandria, and then move all the way up the blue line, which is not ideal. Like a sort of a loop that would allow for direct transfer, or connectivity from Hamilton to Livonia. That would be something else. That is a project for the future, though. A bit of a tease here, I know. Let's get the line here connected up. Hopefully this is fairly easy, but can I? So if let's see, this is in the direction. Yeah, so I'll need to grab this one and add a stop right here, but that is, whoa, that is a bit of a mess. I think, yeah, I've got some waypoints here because I needed these in place to actually divert this loop so that they didn't just reverse. I thought the loop would at least be more realistic, given that they can make it right here instead of the driver having to like transfer to the other side of the tram. So far so good. Can I just grab, I say just, but yeah, trying to select this stop is, come on, please. Oh, there it is. Grab this stop and add it right here. So we've already got the eastbound tram making a stop here. It does seem like this segment is long enough, which was my first concern, so that's nice. We've got a ton of people getting off, and quite a few of them will be utilizing the stairways, so that's really nice. Yeah, ooh, Loki. Yeah, maybe I should grab the thumbnail screenshot now. My heart goes out to those of you with strong enough OCD to really worry whether the pantograph will actually have enough clearance under the bridge. So I'm gonna do us all a favor and just not check. Functionally, the tram will go underneath, and just look at the speed it's making. Woohoo! Alright, so I am hopeful that this is a successful change. If anything, it has cut the travel time along the Zetion 3 line at least 4 or 5 minutes of actual in-game time, which is pretty successful. Moving on to the hopefully universally liked change, otherwise this is going to be slightly awkward. We are going to slim down some of the road segments here in Alexandria and Carlsbridge. We're going to densify this area with some Baroque buildings from Titan. I've been waiting to use these. And I think the road slimming process is going to be very popular. At least I've been looking forward to doing this. I don't think these roads are completely out of the ordinary for an area like this, but with the reduction in traffic, we can actually move ahead and just click and do something like this. And that is a very, very simple change, just utilizing a fully vanilla road as an upgrade for once. We might do some road builder tweaking, but for now that is a pretty nice visual change as soon as we bring in the buildings a little closer. Speaking of visual changes, I think the bridge is a little too steep. We should be able to fix that. So what we're gonna do is, I know this is slightly off topic I guess, but it kind of just looked a little odd in my eyes. So we've grabbed everything we need and we're gonna hold down shift and move down once. Yeah, let's do once and then maybe just one additional tweak. Obviously it looks super weird until we grab the two segments here and we start moving them up. Ooh, now that is fancy. That's actually a really great improvement. I'm not quite sure why I haven't done this before. I guess I've just been ignoring the steep tram ascensions throughout much of the city. There's even a bit further tweaking we could do. I am really just minoring, or rather I am majoring in the minors currently, as probably the best way of putting it. But I think this is important, just to make it look nice. Let's grab this node, just get rid of it. Okay, back to the fun stuff, right here. It feels super weird demolishing these beautiful buildings. I'm gonna remove some at random. Let's see, we'll get rid of these two as well. We'll get rid of these two. We're gonna squeeze in some fun stuff here, no worries, but yeah, it does kind of feel a little weird. What about this guy? It's a bit of an awkward shape. We've got, I like this one, but maybe these two can go as well. I'm gonna replace some more, but it's gonna be as part of a time lapse. Basically, we're going to replace them primarily with these Baroque buildings made by Titan a couple of weeks, maybe even months back, but these are just, they are gorgeous, and Zeeburg needs at least a few of these. Alright, so the inner part of Alexandria now has the highest concentration of still intact Baroque architecture here in Zeeburg, and it is just looking so wonderful. And as if these assets weren't great enough, they are also mixed use, so we've got some storefronts, some, I wanted to say cafe, but this is a fish on a stick store. I just love that. We got some storefronts here at street level, which just adds so much character. We've got a couple of Baroque buildings here on the other side of the avenue as well, and a few cheeky ones kind of mixed in behind the main street of Alexandria. Now, something that's changed while I've been adding in these buildings is the amount of traffic. Because obviously this place still gets super busy, and this isn't even during rush hour. And I have identified a few issues that we need to rectify before trying to manipulate some of the traffic lanes, and maybe even diving into using the traffic lights enhancement mod for the very first time. Yeah, this gets complex. The two things I want to change beforehand though are as follows. The southern directional route, these two lanes need another lane. Yeah, I know. You guys aren't fans of additional lanes, but I think in this case it is necessary. There's just too much traffic crammed onto this single lane because they need to both move straight into Old Town and make a right moving to Neuville and beyond. So we're gonna need an extra turning lane here, but we do have the space. It shouldn't be that much of an issue, and we're gonna use Road Builder to construct that. And I think we need an additional lane over here as well. We might need a dedicated right turn, or alternatively, we might need to just disallow making a right turn here. I am considering that solution because it could make sense. There are other routes you can take if you wish to go into Old Town or this segment. There is a major avenue right here from Neuville feeding into Old Town. So that might be a way to start as well, because I am a little... I don't want to cut too much into the sidewalk here because, you know, we've got some cafes and tables, and if we add more details, there's going to be more tables. So let's start by just configuring this segment here. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to start by utilizing network tools to just add another node right in front of the tram stop. Hopefully, I mean, I can't go for a shorter segment than this, I think. And hopefully that is not gonna mess up the tram stop. It should be fine. It's just moved a little bit, it seems. I need the segment to have a decent length so that we can actually funnel people onto the additional lane. Anyways, let's grab Road Builder. Then we'll just click this custom segment and say use as template. And let's see, I mean, technically it doesn't need to have a 5-meter median anymore because this segment doesn't need to have a tram stop in the center. That's for the next segment. So we're already going to change the naming to 2 meters and of course make the corresponding change to the actual road structure. And this is perfect because this is going to buy us those extra 3 meters, that we need for an additional lane. So this was actually a bit of a freebie, I would say. Yeah, that is quite nice, and it didn't change the actual width of the road at all. Now, ideally, I just want to change this so that it's clear that it's now a 3+2. And then we're gonna change its visibility so I can always find it in the toolbar. And this has already caused quite a bit of chaos, but I think it's going to be a nice change when things clear up a little bit. So we are just going to make sure, oh, this is already a dedicated right, and this is in any direction, and this is a left only. So it seems like the game pretty much configured it like I would have done it. Just going to manually move the tram stops just a little further into this segment with the 5-meter median, so that there's plenty of space for people to wait at the stops here. And obviously the surface we're utilizing for most of our tram stops is a little out of whack now, but I should be able to use Move It to actually grab the surface and move that over. I don't think I've ever done this before, but it's a super cool feature. Just like that. There's one issue though. How do you actually get to this island platform? I don't see any crosswalks, so I guess you kind of have to jaywalk. Yeah, we need a dedicated crosswalk right about here. Technically, the trams are actually too big for this configuration. I wonder if we're just gonna make a nerdy switcheroo. We're gonna add the crosswalk here and remove it from over here. This is also gonna allow more cars to just funnel into this traffic jam. I'm sure they're happy about that, but I think this is going to be better overall. Now, with the experience of this little project, I might change my approach to this project, because I think we can squeeze in the extra lane without making anything wider, because we still have a 5-meter wide median segment right here. Obviously, this will once again require me to add additional crosswalks, maybe down here, for people to actually move into the island segment where both tram stations are located. However, that might not be the worst solution, because one of the reasons this intersection is so incredibly busy is the amount of pedestrians. I mean, the popularity of the Zetion free line is just incredible. So many people are trying to make this crossing, and as long as we keep the vanilla traffic signaling, it's actually blocking the trams, which feels very counterproductive. So let's see if we can pull off the very same thing. We are going to add a node with Road Builder, which is, why is that going to... Actually, let's just check. Do we have a node in place here? No, we don't. I'm a little surprised that adding a node is going to change the road configuration here. Well, the good old trusty adding another node manually has never failed me. So yeah, let's just do that. But I am very surprised to see this run changing. Is that because it's a road where I have manually added the median? I don't know what that is. Maybe it is. Maybe the median is something that is flexible depending on if I add a stop. Oh well, let's just get this segment configured. We're just gonna do this the manual way, I think. So it's going to be a 3+2 tram lane road. Yes, that will work. I know not all my naming is super consistent, but it's 50% consistent 50% of the time, and it kinda works. Kinda. So let's see. We'll need to move a car lane over here. Yes, that looks about right. 3 lanes on this side, 2 lanes on this, although the trams need to be in the center. And they need to be tram-only tracks. And they even need this tiny 1-meter wide median that kind of separates the tram tracks from the ongoing traffic. Alright, so I think I've sort of fixed it now. It's the same width, it's got an extra vehicle lane here, and the median is just 2 meters wide. And I think I know what went wrong as well. I think this is a vanilla road, which I've just upgraded with trams. And that's why when I tried to kind of copy that over, it's just going to utilize the same road, and it's not going to play nicely with Road Builder. I think, I'm not fully on that, but this pretty much gives us what we need. The road isn't any wider, and we've got an additional dedicated turning lane to enter Old Town. And once again, we are obviously going to need to just bring the tram stations into the very center of this median island here and move some of the surfaces as well. Anyways, fingers crossed that this will actually work. We're just gonna speed things up a little bit. We've got the first tram making a stop. Seems to be working just fine. And just look at the amount of pedestrian traffic here, with the cars yielding nicely, somewhat nicely at least. And we're gonna see, yeah, we're already seeing much less stress in this segment. So I think overall this was a pretty nice change. Just gonna do the double check with the lane corrector tool to see. So this one can make a right turn, but can also move straight. I am curious to see whether that is the right choice to make. Depends, I guess, on how many cars are trying to make a right turn, because obviously you've got pedestrian crossings as well. I can say I will disallow U-turns, and can I remove some of the unsafes? Yeah, something like this. You know, I'm a pretty liberal dude, so I'm not one to tell people where they can sit or chill, but this is definitely a choice. It's pretty impressive though. I'm not sure how they're pulling this off. I assume they're just waiting for the correct tram. Yeah, okay. For connectivity from this direction, which is also relatively busy, we will have a dedicated right turn, a split right forward, a dedicated forward, and a split left forward, because I don't think there's a ton of turn-ins to Old Town from this crossing, because you can utilize this intersection down here to cross this bridge into Old Town. But we'll see. We'll have to continue to monitor this situation when it gets this busy. On the topic of busy, it gets even worse or better, depending on how you feel about public transit. If we move a bit further east, as we're slowly crossing from Alexandria and into Antoinette there in the background, I mean, just look at the amount of people waiting here. I assume this... Oh, this is for... There's two lines here. There's the Zetion 4 and the... Let's see, the Zetion 3, of course. So, I mean, I guess we might need even more vehicles on these lines. Or maybe like an express line that is just dedicated to some of the most busy segments. We are just constantly tweaking. So Zetion 4 is seeing 64% usage. We could assign one additional tram. Zetion 3 is seeing a 65. We could assign one additional tram. And obviously the Zetion 2 line also utilize these tracks. So we've got 4 lines, and this one is sitting at 46%. Okay, so that's I think we're just gonna stick with the 4 assigned vehicles here, but we are gonna see a total of 2 trams make this stop here in both directions. Look, I did actually have a go at trying to set up a fully custom traffic lights enhancement phase configuration, but that was bad. I'm not gonna show it, but it was bad. So I think for now, we're just gonna try a split facing plus protected left, because this is one of the main issues with the vanilla facing. And then we could try allow turning on red. I assume this is a right turn on red, like in much of North America. It could be wrong though. So yeah, I think we're gonna try this. We're gonna see how things pan out. Currently there isn't too much traffic. It did get cleared up, but then again the trams are just carrying a ton of passengers. So I think that is overall helping at least. Oh man, traffic and transit management is a little exhausting. Fun but exhausting. And yeah, we've still got this big project ahead of us. So let's clean things up, and this time around, I'm gonna pause the game. Well, that is certainly a clean slate. Hitting play now, the city would be in chaos. I bet some of you would love to see that, but I'm gonna hold off on the temptation. We're grabbing the 4-track hub tram station by Grooney, and let's see. I need this to be relatively close to this portion of this weird lot here to also fit in some bus hub capabilities, and perhaps even replace some of the bike parking I've already removed. So I think this is a decent start. I just need to make sure that there's actually enough room here, even with Anarchy and Move It, to make this connection. Then we'll try to bring this node a little closer to the road here, so that there's a more seamless transition into this track set. And we can bring this one in as well. It's going to be a bit of a tighter angle. I've added a connection to the slopey segment here, but I'm starting to feel it just kind of has to go. I can't even get the slope to be realistic. I can get it to sit around 6.7 average. I mean, I guess that could work for a small stretch like this, but if I do this change with network tools, we've got some really bad catenaries poking through this road, so I just have to configure a bunch of stuff here as well. I think the proper call is probably to finally get rid of it. It was fun while it lasted, but I mean, we did just go through a bunch of trouble to make sure that it's not a necessary segment anymore. So yeah, I think this is a lot cleaner. It's also gonna offer us more space for the bus hub. In terms of the actual bus hub, there are a few issues at play. Most assets are just too big, and the small bus station, which isn't, is too small, or at least it feels a little too cramped. The buses have to make some pretty awkward 90-degree turns. It just looks a little off. It was the same one we utilized in this super tight space before. So what I'm thinking is that we just utilize some vanilla roads and the actual bus stops we can place along them. And then we try to divert traffic away from this street right in front of the station. There's a few challenges. We need to allow people, private vehicles that is, to enter and exit this parking lot without incentivizing them to use this stretch here. Because we gotta remember that we can mark this as a dedicated taxi bus lane all we want, but in reality in-game people are going to just drive here and break the law if they don't think they have other good options. So that's something to keep in mind. But yeah, we might get fiddling a little bit with some road builder as well. Let's give it a go. Okay, so fair to say there's been a lot of changes down here, and I did go through a couple of iterations before I finalized this setup. I say finalized, but it has to work to be final. I have tried to very carefully direct vehicle traffic in and out of the parking lot, as well as bike traffic to this underground parking hall. And I have disallowed a right turn here, so I am hopeful that we won't see a ton of vehicles drive on the dedicated taxi and bus lanes, but we'll see. There should be plenty of access to whatever you need to do here as a private motorist, so yeah. But we need to get it all connected up to see if it actually works. Now, in terms of the bus line, getting it all connected up is a fairly simple procedure because yeah, we obviously just don't have a ton of stuff going on here in Zeeburg. We've got this single B1 line. Yes, we need more. So I'm just gonna get this cleaned up and added a stop in both directions. I think this one should be fairly easy. We'll just drop that right in front of the train station. And something I need to be careful with here is, as you can see, we've got some issues, and that's because I have plenty of these nodes, these waypoint nodes throughout, and they're great for directing traffic, but what is going on here? There is another node causing an issue, but they can cause pathing issues. where you'll have some of your vehicles pass by the same stretch twice, but only stopping once. So let's see, as we're coming south from Neuville, we need to be able to enter the station. So we're gonna grab this one and we'll add a waypoint here. Jink. There's a dedicated track to use here, and that is when we get to this stop. There is another waypoint causing issue. Yeah, I'm gonna get this sorted off camera. I think I know what the issue is. Previously it was a one direction setup serving the station, but it's now in both directions. But obviously this interchange or intersection rather can't handle that because it's gonna force buses to make a right turn here and go on this really awkward turnaround to be able to stop right here. So yeah, I think we need to once again allow for a left turn here, just like that, and potentially just add a traffic light. Yeah, let's see if that automatically solves it. So it's looking pretty good now. It is all a little weird, this entire stretch here, but we gotta remember that we've got some significant elevation changes. So it is a pretty difficult part of the city to kind of plan out in terms of public transit, but it should work, and we've got some dedicated lanes to kind of help speed up the flow. This also explains this fun little crossover. The tram situation should also be fairly easy to connect because we only have the Zetion 2 line moving through this station district so far at the very least. That is expected to change in the future as mentioned, but now we've got a dual platform station, or quad platform station. Actually, is that 3 platforms but 4 stuff? I don't even know. We've got more capacity for future expansion is what I'm trying to say. And we should be able to finally hit play. Seems like everything is working just fine with plenty of people already queuing up for the Zetion 2. You've got a single crosswalk to manage if you need to transfer from a train to the tram or the other way around, and in some cases, depending on the direction you're going, you have no crosswalks if you're transferring between train and bus or tram and bus, which is of course also possible. So I think it's all tied together reasonably nice. The longest transfer you can make is from the Zetion 3 line here. You gotta utilize the pedestrian ramp here, but I imagine that there's an elevator here to allow for some wheelchair users as well to transfer to the actual station. So it's not ideal, but I think it's as good as it's gonna get when we've got these elevation differences and this part of the city just being overall pretty complex. Now, of course, I'm very much open to feedback, so if there's like any glaring issues or things you think needs to be revamped or changed, please let me know in the comments. I'm also open to feedback on something that's a little more impactful, because I think I need to get rid of the local bus station here. We don't use it, and I don't think we're gonna use it in the future because the location is pretty awkward. I mean, it's just not a great location for a central bus hub, and this build has been universally hated, or at least the placement of this asset has been universally hated ever since I placed it. And I get it. So now it's gone, and we are left with a massive empty lot in a pretty central location. Not central enough to host a bus main station, but central nonetheless. So if you've got any ideas for what to build here, please let me know in the comments. I think this could be a fun one with so much available space. For a bit of context, this is in the Louise Canal district, which is relatively modern. Former industrial site having been redeveloped in the past 40 to 50 years. It features a maritime museum, some hotels, modern redevelopments, modern row housing, and a school of design. It's served by a tram stop in the far western end, but otherwise it's really close to the central station. So yeah, there's a bit of context there for your input. Alright, obviously it does need a bit of detailing and whatnot, but we've got a few more projects in store before we get that far. So one would be revamping some of the entry and exit tracks to the central station. Currently it's all just looking I mean, it's all right, but it's all just looking a little vanilla. And we do have these amazing 4-track segments we can utilize instead. And I think that's just gonna make it look all the more nice. So I think as a starter, we could just grab one of these alternating 4-way track segments and just kind of see if we can do a cheeky upgrade or two with Anarchy and see how that would look. So I'm basically just trying to add more tracks to make it just a little more complex and maybe also have the ability to park a few trains, I guess. It does seem like I can easily do this upgrade without too much trouble. Might be able to do this one as well. Can I bring it all the way down here? I can. Is it gonna be this easy? I mean, that does look a lot nicer, I think. Let's just get a quayside added right here. I've also got this 3-track rail yard segment, but I'm not sure how the configuration in terms of directionality is in this segment. So I'm just gonna test it. I'm just gonna place it, grab the passenger tool, and let's see, can I bring this? I can actually bring this one in here. So that's pretty much perfect, but how is... yeah, the C1 is making a bit of an odd decision, I think. Can I bring it down here and just kind of keep it right here? I do like that. I think we've got at least one more upgrade we can commit. We can just turn this into a regular dual track segment. I think we don't actually have a train utilizing this platform just yet, but with the speed of expansion, we've been adding new public transit. I think we will within too long. So that's pretty nice. Once again, just doing a quick checkup to see everything is in order. So now we have additional tracks which we could utilize to just kind of park a few trains, which I think we're gonna go ahead and do because it just looks so nice. It adds so much character. Yeah, it's technically detailing, which I know I meant to just kind of postpone for a little while, but just getting a few added in here would add so much character. As I'm starting to recolor these, I'm starting to wonder if this just looks like trains that are queued up, because that wasn't really what I was going for. I think it's a nice addition, but yeah, you guys let me know. Maybe we could grab this filler and just move him a bit further back, just to kind of offset the whole thing a little bit. Move this a bit further back as well, something like this maybe. What do you guys think? Is it a nice decision, or addition rather, or does it just look like a major queue? The track configuration on the eastern side of the station is a little more complex due to all the elevated segments here, so it might not be as easy making this look nice. So I think we might try to do something like this and maybe just move it to one or the other sides, and we'll see how that looks. I also don't really think it's necessary for all of these segments to be elevated, because the elevated segments always make it a little more tricky to actually just work with the tracks and getting them really close. That's just how it is in this game. So yeah, I'm just trying to kind of see if I can have a few stretches that aren't elevated. We also just have 3 trains actually despawn due to a queue situation here, so that's pretty bad. We've got a lot of trains utilizing the same stretch of tracks here. So I think as long as this segment is not in use, we can just get rid of this and do a bit of an upgrade to this segment here. Hopefully I can squeeze in the 4-lane alternating segment. That would be a really nice addition just to get those extra tracks in place that we need. We're gonna bring that all the way down here to this intersection, I guess I'd call it. And then let's just see if we can spread out a few of the tracks that are kind of fighting for the same space, or a few of the lines, a few of the trains, I mean. So let's see, we've got the C1 here. Let's just kind of streamline that, make that symbol. That is utilizing the innermost track. That's good. Then the N1 line is completely messed up now. I'm not sure what's going on here. What? I just can't find it. Oh, it was this one down here. Yeah, things just get tricky sometimes. Let's see. This is looking fine. All seems to be looking just fine now. So this should clear up some space between all these trains. Everything has just gotten so incredibly complex. Oh man. Incredibly fun, incredibly complex. Those two just seem to kind of go hand in hand. And they just seem to make things look better as well. But yeah, it can turn into a bit of a headache as well, I gotta be honest, getting all this set up. If you told me 6 months ago that I would be stressing over trying to get all the trains to fit in nicely to my major train station, I would probably think you'd be joking. It's definitely a bit of a new thing. I've never really spent this much time and effort on having fun with public transit. One thing's for sure, I'm not gonna bother parking any trains on this super crazy segment here because it's just too busy. And that feels like a fun thing to be able to say. If we want to optimize train flow here, or at the very least avoid actual despawning, which is just so immersion breaking, there are no parked trains on this side of the central station. Over here though, I guess it works. So another functional change I'd like to make is changing the entire bus stock. I say entire, but just one bus line. Yeah, I know. We've got Maestro dominating the train scene, so why not let him dominate the bus scene as well? Because so far I've been using these colossal order buses, but they feel a little outdated, if you catch my drift. So let's just get rid of that one, and we will be adding the generic Mercedes-Benz Citaro C2 instead to this line here. Line usage 6%. Wow. I mean, there isn't a great incentive to add more buses to the city with that line usage. Oh, anyways, let's just have a look at this guy. That is so nice. Once again, write everything with some dynamic displays here. It's spawned at the bus depot. Right, I mean, I haven't renamed it, so I guess that makes sense, but this is just a really nice, fully detailed model, turning signals, all that good stuff. The only thing that is a little awkward is the line number, but that's my fault. This designation here is just way too big. What if we just bump that down? How is that gonna change? Zetion, yeah, let's get rid of the Zetion. I don't think that's necessary either. The B probably isn't either. That's my way of designating that it is a bus. But in hindsight, I don't think I need to. I don't think I need to designate that it's a bus as part of the actual number. But I guess in terms of like the s-bahn being S1, 2, 3, and so on, maybe it kind of follows that, I guess. Anyways, the new stock is rolling out, so it should be replaced shortly throughout the city, which is gonna be fun. Wouldn't it just be fun with a tram parking lot as well? So let's make let's see, we'll make this alternating just like the train tracks we've been utilizing. I guess we're gonna continue to allow trams to make a loop here for whatever reason. It's not currently something that we're using, but let's see, four track alternating tram track. Yeah, I guess that works. 80 kilometers an hour, and that's a bit much, but yeah, whatever. It's gonna be used as a parking lot, so I guess that's all right. Let's just get this upgrade without elevation. Okay, I thought I could get away with a quick upgrade, but yeah, we probably just need to reconfigure this slightly for it to make sense. So let's just make this a bit of a proper setup instead. Well, let's get a few tram sets parked here. I don't think I've ever said that sentence before, so there's a lot of firsts here. I know it's called GVB. It's once again by Maestro, so let's just see what we can find. Oh yes, we've got everything we need. Tram parking lot. I mean, that is surface parking I can believe in. It's time to wrap up the episode with a bit of final detailing, focusing on the major transport hub here. It's not gonna be heavy or crazy because if I know myself, we're gonna revamp this place in 5 episodes time anyways. As always, thank you guys so much for watching and all the support and wonderful feedback. I hope to see you all in the next one. Goodbye.